Hello. In the previous videos, I was talking about the, give me a second, metacognitive ability statistical analysis. And I absolutely love statistics. Anything statistics is absolutely fantastic because it makes so much sense if you think about everything being on a bell curve, on a normal distribution. That's why if anyone ever says normal, it means norm, okay? So if there's a bell curve, boop, boop, okay, the majority of the population, the 68%, will fall in the middle, okay, fluctuating around the mean, median, and mode in a perfect population, normal distribution. It just means that you're not an outlier, because apparently that's offensive nowadays. So then I was sitting thinking, like, how am I going to make sense of the scores? Because obviously, no teenager is going to understand what a standard deviation is and how to interpret it, and no one's going to understand, if your score is 9.1 versus 0.68, or no one's going to get that. But with the rest of my theory, what I did was I divided it up into different ranges. Okay, so for example, from 0 to 30, whatever. But I said to ChatGPT that I'm not happy with doing that because it's already such a complex section that I think doing that is going to just make it even more complex, where this needs to be simplified. So the mathematics can be complicated, but the result needs to be simplified. The result. I'm just going to go with how Ocean, the Big Five personality theory, I'm just going to go on very similar to the way that they report their results. And I've come up with, it's going to be scored low, middle, and high. The low will be an undeveloped ability. The middle will be a developing ability, and then the high will then be a mastered ability. So if you get over a 0.75, between 0.75 and 1, it will then be classified as a mastered ability, where underdeveloped is between 0 and 0.44, and the middle will then be between 0.45 and 74. I'm going to also try to see if it can be applied to a bell curve, because a bell curve is that the 16% at the bottom and 16% at the top, with the 68% in the middle. However, I feel that 17% is not is an underdeveloped ability. I don't think it's a developing ability. I think that 45% is starting to be a developing ability, if that makes sense. So for example, if someone scores 20%, according to the bell curve, that will then be developing, but I disagree. It's not, okay? That is undeveloped and it needs serious intervention. This is actually so flippin' awesome. The fact that the DSA has been able to quantify a concept using observed human behaviors with practical steps to resolve issues.